Alright guys, see I've got my my son's Volcano EPX Redcat truck. It's not the Pro version, it's the brushed version. It's just a standard EPX. I was driving it this weekend and the motor quit pulling. Actually took it apart, took the motor off of it and the gear down. What actually happened is he ran into something and he didn't back off the throttle fast enough. And as you can see, the motor gear actually chewed the teeth up. I think they're supposed to be that pointy, but the brush version actually comes with a plastic gear. Plastic gear just kind of gave up, and you see it's got normal teeth around here. If you turn it starting right there, it's kind of flattened those teeth out. It wasn't grabbing anymore, wasn't trying to go. So I'm gonna be putting this back together. Hopefully this will work correctly. I do have the metal gear replacements. I'll show them in a minute, but that's what I'm gonna be working on today. I actually have a Volcano EPX Pro I destroyed the body on and got this little buggy body for it. That one actually broke this weekend too. I actually broke the turnbuckle. I've got it out right here. Turnbuckle is actually okay. It's just the bottom hole right there, stripped out. Pulled the screw clean out of it and nothing for the threads to grab hold of. It launched the dog bone front axle out of it. I have a new axle already propped in there, but I've got metal upgrades coming for this, be in the next couple days. But I'm gonna be working on the standard version of the truck. These sits here like this. There's 3 bolts on the bottom. You take that out, you can pull this out. Center drive shaft, once you get the support off of it, get this main support off of it here, you can actually flex the truck if you grab it front and back and kind of pull down on both sides so it flexes. It's probably not the correct way to do it, but if you flex it enough, this shaft will actually pop out, so you don't have to disassemble a ton of the truck. The forward, or I guess the main propeller shaft, or whatever they want to call it in the parts manual. And then you take the 3 screws out of the bottom and you get this off. There's a grub screw that holds the motor on. You probably saw in the pinion right here, right there. You back that out, it slides right off. This one's a little more complicated. It's got a couple shims. They're down here in this box. Those shims right there and here. It actually is held on with an E-clip. I'm not sure where the E-clip got off to. It's in this container somewhere, but the E-clip actually holds the gear on. Hopefully I can find that, or I can't put it back together. But there's the E-clip, fits around this ring right here on the shaft, kind of locks it into place. So very simple but effective. So I'll be upgrading this one with the metal gears, so hopefully he won't do that again. But let me get all the parts together, start to put it back together, and we'll see how this goes. All right, so I found the metal gears that come in the mail today. The hobby part gears. There's a part number in case anybody's looking for an upgrade. I got these off Amazon, really cheap, less than $10. There's a grub screw down here in the bottom, motor gear, transmission gear, I believe they call it spur gear. But this is what we'll be putting on the truck today, and I did find the E-clip. It's right there. So I've got everything here to put it back together. So we'll start opening these packages, and then we'll start putting it back together. All right, so I've got the spur gear attached to it. There is a groove on the back, and there's a pin, an alignment pin that's in the shaft. I never took it out of the shaft, just slid it back up until it bottomed completely out. And the shims for the plastic one, these little guys right here, I did not need all of them with the metal one. I guess it's thicker. Actually only took 3. I'm not sure if the camera will focus. And then the actual E-clip that went on it. Once it's locked down, you just kind of push it down all the way. I had to use some pliers, regular pliers, but I could not do it one-handed, so there's no way I could video it at the same time. But when it's shimmed correctly, it's not tight, like it's locked up. It is very secure. It doesn't have any forward and back free play. It wobbles ever so slightly, but I could not get the E-clip to engage with that last shim. So this is as tight as I can get it. I can't get it any tighter. So this is where I'll leave it right here. And I'll start to put the rest of the truck back together. After the E-clip, of course, the drive cup and the drive axle and whatnot. But I'm gonna go ahead and start, bolting the motor back to it. A lot of this stuff, I apologize, I can't do it one-handed, and I don't have a camera stand or phone stand yet. So I'll be cutting in and out with the video as I progress with putting it back together. All right, so time to put the gear on the motor. If you pay real close attention to it, at first glance, it just kind of looks round, and it is, but it actually has a flat spot right there. And you want to make sure when you slide this gear on that the hole, before you put the grub screw in it, is lined up perfectly with that hole. And then when you tighten down the grub screw, it locks it down on the flat part of the motor shaft. You don't want it locked down on the round part, because then it'll slip, loosen up, bad times. But I'll get that attached and I'll be right back. All right, so I've got the grub screw in there, and if you can see very closely on the inside here where it meets the motor, you can see the light glare off the flat part of the shaft. So the grub screw is exactly where I want it. It is snug, it's not tight. It turns the motor freely. It doesn't just fall off, but it allows me to adjust the alignment with this when I actually slide it in. But that shaft goes through that hole. I did put another one of those leftover washers here to try and protect the E-clip. Then I'll slide this on. And like I said, I kind of need two hands, so I'll be right back. All right, so on the bottom side, there's these 3 bolts right here that hold that aluminum motor plate in there, everything slid together. They are fine thread, flathead. They're the ones that come in the bottom. It's easier to remember if you just keep note of where you take them out of, lay them out, label them or something, so that way you don't have to remember, because it did take a couple of days to get those parts in. The difference between the fine thread and the coarse thread is there's a lot of space between the surface and the fine thread. The teeth on these, I guess you could call them, really close together, the spirals on them. So the fine thread is what goes in the aluminum brace. The flat heads go on the bottom, the round heads go on the top, because there are some screws that go through the base. So I just wanted to show you guys that. All right, now that the motor is secured from the bottom, get everything kind of lined up here, and I've loosened this Allen key up top so the motor will rock back and forth. It's not touching, it's away from it. I do have a Traxxas tool set. I'm pretty sure you can make or get one of these in different brands, but it works good for not having to take everything apart or use a stubby Allen to get here, which would be an L-shaped Allen, which would be easy to get to. But I like that this is kind of long. Looks kind of awkward angle at the moment just because I don't have my hands on it. It's just kind of holding itself in there. But I just wanted to show you guys what I did. But from what I have seen and talked with people, the best thing to do is a sheet of notebook paper. Just kind of tear a strip off of it. This is regular white paper, blue and red lines, like you use in grade school and college. And you basically just slide this down between the motor and the spur gear. I kind of have, I know my hand's in the way at the moment. We just kind of slide it down between both of them. And then what you're going to want to do is pull them tightly together. And just make sure that you hold it good and tight. And then as you're holding it tight, you want to tighten that screw up. And then you can roll it, it'll shoot the paper out, and you'll have a pretty good mesh. But I can't do that one-handed. So I'm gonna tighten this up, and then we'll see how it looks. Before you do the paper trick, get these gears lined up as centered as possible. And then don't forget to tighten that grub screw just right there. And right there, just past it. It's useful to put a little Loctite on it. When you do, just make sure you let it sit for a good 24 hours before you use it. Let the Loctite sit in. But it is flat on this end, as far back as it'll go. It won't go back any further. It's just the way the gear is designed. But I put the paper in there, held it tight after the grub screw was good, the depth was adjusted, and then tightened that top Allen. And the gear mesh seems to be pretty good. All right, so now the drive cup for the actual axle, or drive shaft, propeller shaft, whatever you would like to call it. This guy right here is blue on the Pro version. It's purple on this one. I'm not sure if all of them are purple or not, but this particular one is. So the drive cup, where the dog bone propeller shaft sits in here, it's got a grub screw, same thing. This one's gonna have a spot on the shaft. It's a flat spot right there that you're gonna want to put the grub screw in. And basically just slide this on here, and then you'll tighten that grub screw down. Once you get everything adjusted correctly, make sure there's not too much free play in that dog bone. So I'm gonna get this set up, and then I'll flex the chassis again, which is, like I said, not the right way. Slide the dog bone back in, tighten that down. Don't think you really need to put Loctite on that one, but I probably will, just to be on the safe side. All right, the drive cup is on. The grub screw is put on the flat spot of the shaft, and it is tightened down. And that's with it all the way in. Same thing on the front side and the back side. So, and it rolls nice and freely, nothing's binding up, everything feels good. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put the rest of the plastic covers and back together, and then put a battery in it and see what happens. Couple screws left over, not much. Like I said, that's the old gear, not reusing that. That's the top brace. So I'll go ahead and reassemble more of it and show you what it looks like when it gets close. All right, so I pretty much got it all back together. The top brace goes across here. Antenna wire goes through the bottom. All of the coarse thread screws go in plastic, and here and here and here, and the fine thread screws go into the aluminum, and then this nut right here for the steering arm. And there is something on the bottom. There's a Phillips head screw on the bottom that you have to hold while you turn the nut on top, or vice versa, depends on how you want to do it. But brace goes first, covers go on top, everything's tightened down. I'd leave everything a little loose until everything's lined up perfectly, and then tighten it back down. You may have to flex the chassis a little bit to get the holes to line up, but everything should work out pretty good. All right, this truck comes with a NIMH battery, factory, and of course it didn't come with an XT90 connector. I've soldered these onto all my vehicles. It's just a standard I use. Just keep everything the same on my chargers and batteries and the various trucks I have. I've changed them, resoldered them to these connectors to make things easy. When the truck broke, it had a 2-cell LiPo in it, which you can run. You change this bottom jumper that's all the way to the right here. You move it to the left. So the jumper that is actually, find something smaller to show you. The jumper that is right here, right there. You move it one spot to the left, that makes it for LiPo, all the way to the right for the nickel metal hydride. So we'll power it up. Yeah, hopefully it runs without any weird noises. All right, so I got it powered on. Everything seems to be okay. I got the jumper set to the battery I've got in it. The steering works as good as it does for this little truck. No excessive chattering. Looks like everything's gonna be pretty good. So, if you've got any questions or anything, leave it in a comment down below. I'll try to answer them best I can. But that's it. Thanks for watching.